In this video, we're going to talk about the new government support announced this week, the week beginning the 20th of April, for the tech sector and the innovative SME sector. The government has announced a £1.25 billion package to support these sectors, particularly as some of them are not eligible for existing financial support in the coronavirus crisis. The package includes a new £500 million loan scheme for high growth firms, that's called the Future Fund, and a £750 million fund targeting support at small and medium-sized businesses that are focused on research and development. The fund's delivered in partnership with the British Business Bank and launching in May, and it's going to provide UK-based companies with between 125,000 and 5 million from the government, providing private investors are at least matching the government's commitment. Now, let's talk to two people who maybe can talk about this in context. One is the Chief Executive of the Entrepreneurs Forum, Jonathan Lamb, and also from Middleton Enterprises and Conviction Investment Partners, Northern investor in this kind of tech space, Jeremy Middleton. Jonathan Lamb, first, what was your initial reaction to this announcement?
I think it seems to have reacted to a need from the sector, Graham. There are a few sectors across the UK at the moment that are particularly vulnerable. Scale-up businesses particularly, about 22% of the scale-up businesses in the UK are vulnerable. Now, within that, of course, the tech plays a key role within the North East economy, as obviously it does in the UK. So there was a need. I guess the question is how much of the latest measure is going to sort of meet that need, but there certainly seems to have tried to address the need.
And the need, I suppose, is brought about because the eligibility for support from the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme and other grants isn't necessarily there to support businesses that weren't in a good place on their balance sheet because they were early stage.
Yeah, I mean, the latest announcement is targeting the tech businesses that have had some success in raising finance in the past. So these are not really young businesses, they're not startup businesses. And they've also had some success in attracting external funding. There was a gap. I mean, these are precious businesses. They're precious for the UK, but particularly with the North East, with it being such a strong part of the fabric. These are critical to the success of the North East economy, and there had been a bit of a gap, as you've identified. So this is one attempt to try and fill that gap.
Well, let's bring in Jeremy Middleton now. Jeremy, you're well known as a funder of this kind of business. This government support, though, requires people like you to be involved before any taxpayers' money is handed over. What was your first reaction to what you'd heard?
Well, I think it's a good thing because there's a whole raft of companies that are growing very fast, very exciting, employing a lot of people, and but they are pretty close to the wind when it comes to finances. And there was no real help for them unless they were profitable. Well, these are viable businesses, but they're not profitable. So this provides some support for those type of businesses. So I think it's good. It will require private investors to go in, and I think that's right. I don't think the government's well placed to judge where's a good place to put the money otherwise. And the government will be taking equity. So across the whole board, they should be getting their money back. Ideally, they'll get more than their money back. So that is a good start. I don't think it's completely comprehensive, but I think it's a really good start.
Does the government being involved in the business attract you more as a potential investor or put you off?
Neither. I would say for the companies that are taking the money, it's just the money that they need. The government will be a silent partner. In practice, the government is adding leverage to the private sector investing. So I wouldn't be worried about that.
Are there other ways that the government could get involved without devising a specific scheme?
I think there are, and anything that already exists is a better way to go, in my view. I would say it would be great if they would look at increasing the incentives for people to invest under the Enterprise Investment Scheme. So there are a whole raft of companies, particularly very early stages and startups that have never raised large sums of money before and are not eligible for this scheme. Currently, the only source of funds is correctly from the private sector. I would keep it that way, but the government currently gives income tax relief at 30%. They could increase that to a larger number for a short period of time, 50%, 80%.
Jonathan, what advice are you giving to members of yours, some of whom might qualify for this? Because, you know, of the 300 plus Entrepreneurs Forum members, there are quite a few in that cohort, aren't there?
Yeah, there are. I mean, it's somewhere between 15 and 20% of the Entrepreneurs Forum members are in the tech space. You know, it's a really important part of our membership. I mean, I guess that the first advice is to seek out some specialist assistance on this, because I mean, a lot of the entrepreneurs are really good at knowing their market and their product, etc., but are not necessarily au fait with how this works behind the scenes. You know, the law of unintended consequences, etc. So seeking professional advice is really important. I think also it's an opportunity to, I mean, some of these businesses have, if you look at some of the national research, everybody is going through some difficult times, but quite a lot of the tech businesses are saying that they are sort of ready for the future, if you like, that it's not as disrupting their business as much as other businesses. So it gives an opportunity to investigate a wider source of funding. I mean, I'm interested in what Jeremy was saying, because of course Jeremy does this, you know, well, I don't know about week in, week out, but regularly investing in companies. So you see it from the supply side, don't you? And having been an entrepreneur yourself, you see it from the demand as well. But we would always advise people, have a clear strategy, get the numbers right, and to do that, seek some professional advice. I mean, if you've got it in-house, fine, but some businesses don't. Some people will need the expertise of professional advisors.
I'll give you the last word, Jeremy.
Just to build on that, I think a lot of people won't know where to go. And in fact, this is only really going to be able to access finance if you've got some already had some investment, and you have raised a reasonable amount before, and you've got some existing people willing to invest in your business now. I would talk to anybody who has already invested with you. Find out if they have appetite to support you. But if they don't have enough appetite or enough money to do so, then say, will they go halfway? And then through them, go and try and get some support from the government. That's exactly what it's aimed at.
Jonathan, Jeremy, thank you for joining me. And we'll make sure we share this video widely on LinkedIn. If you're watching this and you're in the tech sector, do press the share button because these guys have captured the flavour of the scheme. Thank you very much.